So I will ask you, everyone in the room, how many of you are normal Muslims? You're not extremists, you're not radical, just normal Sunni Muslims. Please raise your hands. Everybody, mashallah, subhanallah. Okay, take down your hands again. How many of you agree that men and women should sit separate? Please raise your hands.
Sisters in particular.
Everyone agree. Everyone agree. Brothers and sisters. Subhanallah. So it's not just these radical sheikhs then. Allahu Akbar. Next question. How many of you agree that the punishments described in the Quran and the Sunnah, whether it is death, whether it is stoning for adultery, whatever it is, if it is from Allah and His Messenger, that is the best punishment ever possible for humankind, and that is what we should apply in the world? Who agrees with that? Allahu Akbar. Are you all radical extremists? Subhanallah. So all of you are saying that you are common Muslims, you all go to the different masajids, no way? Or is it, are you like a specific sect, like the Islam net sect or anything like that? Are you like that? No? Is it, are you like that? Please raise your hand if you're like this extreme Islam net sect or anything like that. No one. Allahu Akbar. How many of you just go to these normal masajids in Norway, the normal Sunni mosques? Please raise your hands. Allahu Akbar. So what's the politicians gonna say now? What's the media gonna say now? That we're all extremists? We're all radicals? We need to deport all of us from this country? Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. Takbir! 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 May we have the next question, please?
Right there again. He's up there complaining about the media characterizing Muslims who have these beliefs that homosexuals should be killed as extremist Muslims. So then he asks this huge crowd of so-called moderate Muslims, do they share this belief that homosexuals should be killed, that women should be stoned to death for adultery? They all put their hands up. White, black, Arab, doesn't matter. They all put their hands up. And then he said, look, this is not extremists that believe this. This is a normal Muslim belief. And all these so-called westernized Muslims, Norway in this case, share those same beliefs. So again, that leftist trope that it's a tiny minority of radical fringe extremists that have these beliefs is complete bunkum. And you saw the poll out of the United Kingdom 2 months ago. 52% of Muslims think that homosexuality should be illegal. You can look at the Pew polls out of the Middle East of those who believe in Sharia law. The majority agree that homosexuals should be executed. This isn't about jihadists, this isn't about extremists, this is about Islam. This is what they actually believe. But the left refuses to call it out because they care more about protecting the feelings of Muslims than the lives of gay people. And you can look at the preacher, the cleric there in Orlando, who just weeks before Omar Mateen's rampage was calling for gays to be executed, quote, out of compassion. This is his quote. Death is the sentence. There's nothing to be embarrassed about this. Death is the sentence. That's what he said about homosexual people. This is a so-called moderate cleric out of Orlando. So again, no surprise that we've had numerous gay people, numerous homosexual groups who have come out in the aftermath of this and have switched their allegiance to Trump and away from the likes of Hillary Clinton, 20% of her campaign being funded by Saudi Arabia, a country that still executes gays, that whips them, that puts them in prison. So this is out of the Inquisitor. Donald Trump gets LGBT support boost after Orlando shooting. Donald Trump appears to have lured a growing number of LGBT voters away from his Democratic challenger, Hillary Clinton, funded by Saudi Arabia, who kill gay people. Trump's speech after the Orlando shooting by self-avowed ISIS terrorists has earned him the steadfast loyalty of gay Americans who are now keenly focused on national security, immigration, and terrorism matters. And remember, the people who throw gays off buildings in the Middle East, they're not inspired to do so by Western foreign policy. Again, that was the justification trotted out in the aftermath of this massacre, because the gunman said that it was a retribution, that the West should stop bombing ISIS. Well, ISIS throws gay people off buildings in the Middle East. They throw Syrian people off buildings. They're not Westerners, they're Syrian. And the people watching in the crowds below do absolutely nothing. They sit back and enjoy the show, which is not to say that a lot of these populations are living under absolute tyranny and just to survive they have to go along with this. But again, they're throwing Middle Easterners off buildings. They're not just killing Westerners. So again, this trope that everything is somehow justified as a reaction to Western foreign policy, complete BS. 11 countries, as a matter of law, throughout the Islamic world still execute gay people. The left has absolutely nothing to say about it because they're hypocrites and they place Muslims above gays in the Oppression Olympics. We'll be back with the final segment and more news after the break in 4 Wars. We're back on the final segment of the Alex Jones Show Live. We're not going to get a chance to go to the video, but 6 months ago I put out a video, Islam is not a religion of peace, going through all these arguments, and it's more relevant than ever before, so I urge you to go and watch that video. Let's hit on some final few news stories here with 4 minutes left on the show. Reuters. Half of likely voters back temporary ban on all Muslim entry to the United States. New polling data from Reuters shows a surge in support for a far-reaching temporary ban on any Muslim entry to the United States. In the wake of the terrorist attack in Orlando, 50% of likely voters now support a temporary halt on Muslim entry into the US. Just 42% of likely voters oppose a temporary ban. So now it's shifted in majority favour of people supporting that ban. The finding represents a 22-point swing since the beginning of the month. At the end of May, just 40% of likely voters support a halt, while 54% opposed one. So this poll was taken, I believe, immediately after the terrorist attack in Orlando. And Donald Trump's policy of a temporary limit on Muslim immigration is proving more popular. More people support it than those who oppose it amongst likely voters. This is out of Breitbart. US resettles million migrants from countries that execute gays. Oh, more cultural enrichment. Between 2001 and 2014, the United States has permanently resettled nearly 750,000 migrants from nations that may execute gays and lesbians, including 250,000 who were resettled during Hillary Clinton's tenure in the State Department. As Secretary of State, Clinton was in charge of screening visas for admission, which some foreign nationals could then adjust to receive green cards. So now we've got these people pouring into the United States. But again, don't worry, they're going to integrate, they're going to settle, they're going to get jobs, they're not going to hate gay people, everything's fine. Let's just ignore the fact that they're going to mosques every week where clerics are telling them that killing gay people is perfectly acceptable. This is out of Sky News. Muslim cleric leaves Australia over anti-gay remarks. A Muslim cleric who suggested that homosexuals be put to death has left Australia ahead of his visa being cancelled. British-born Farrokh Shelafar arrived in Sydney last Tuesday as the guest speaker of an Islamic centre in Sydney. He said, quote, "Death is the sentence for gay sex acts in public." Again, the left has nothing whatsoever to say about that. Now, with the Brexit vote, which I talked about earlier in the show, the EU time and time again has ignored the democratic will of the European people. They had votes for the EU constitution, the Lisbon Treaty in countries like France, in the Netherlands, other countries, Ireland. where they voted to reject the EU's mandate every single time. Well, now, politicians in Britain are preparing to reject the democratic will of the British people, even if we vote to leave the EU. This is out of Business Insider. There's an incredible theory that a Brexit won't actually happen even if the public votes for it. Well, it's not a theory. You know, I've been saying this could happen for weeks now. A really crucial detail about the upcoming EU referendum has gone virtually unmentioned, and it is probably the most crucial detail. Parliament doesn't actually have to bring Britain out of the EU even if the public votes for it. So there's this technicality within the process of the referendum which says it's just a referendum, it's not legally binding. So even if we vote leave, which the polls show might happen now, they're going to go back to Parliament, they're going to try and steal that vote on a technicality. Let them go ahead and do that. They're threatening economic terrorism now, and the British people just aren't going to put up with it. That's the show. InfoWars Nightly News tonight. Alex will be back 11 to 2 tomorrow. Breaking news at Infowars.com.